Russell Welch on the guitar, everybody. Kris Tokarski on the piano. Hey, there's my mom. It's Charlie Halloran, who plays the trombone. Dave Boswell on the trumpet. And your fine drummer man in the back is Mike Voelker. Drummer man. Let's play High Society. Song dedicated to you, all of you folks, obviously members of High Society. Ready? great. Now, the slideshow is over here, so some of you are going to have a hurt neck tomorrow. I'm sorry about that. You're going to be looking over there. I assure you, I'm not kidding. It's right there. That was High Society. How are you all doing? Welcome this afternoon. Hey, that song usually has a clarinet obligato part that's very famous, and we don't have a clarinet player. So, reproducing that on the trombone, Mr. Charlie Halloran, everybody. The most unwieldy instrument of the group. The opposite of the clarinet. Well, that was called High Society. Welcome. You're here on Storyville Day. Does anybody know what Storyville is? Okay, we have one. Oh my gosh. It's going to be a rough go of it. Because this is well, you'll see. I can usually, sometimes I give tours. And then at different points in the tour, I watch people's eyes bug out. Because they're hearing some information for the first time. So here we go. That last one was called High Society. And in 1900, it was the most popular song because of Cakewalk was the biggest dance of the time. And the one-step and the two-step were songs that marches and ragtime went along with. As you can see, I'm an amateur historian, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I mean. Remember I was telling you the slideshow's over there. I'm an amateur historian, so I don't have to stick to the truth all the time. I don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. So I will tell you a little bit about Storyville. If you don't know about it, we had a legal, when I say legal, I mean semi-legal red light district that ran here in New Orleans from 1897 to 1917. Now, actually, it's a very dense subject because there was 10 years or 20 years before Storyville that sort of form it. There's a lot of racial and sexual politics and reformists that are building this. This is sort of an area, let me show you a little bit. Oh, well, these are the guys who are famous from Storyville who become famous in the jazz age. Everybody know Louis Armstrong? And Sidney Bechet? And Kid Ory? And that's Jelly Roll Morton. And to me, those four people would be the Mount Rushmore of New Orleans jazz. And they all came to fame in the jazz era, probably 1918 till the Great Depression. And so we're talking about the period right before that. Is where all these gentlemen got their start. Kris, a little accompaniment, friend? Storyville is the prescribed area, beautiful, formed under Ordinance 13032 by this man, the father of Storyville, Sidney Story. Now, he didn't like that they called it Storyville. Much to his chagrin, the press started calling that. He just wanted to call it the district. He was an alderman. Does anybody from a place that has aldermen still? We have city council people. But in Chicago, I think they still have aldermen. And it was this guy's idea to prescribe vice into a certain area. And that he felt that would be the best way to control it. And he went on a tour of famous red light districts all over the world, all over Europe. You know, he visited in Germany and in Amsterdam to get an idea of what their red light districts were like. The most fun work trip, I think. Honey, it's a work trip. I have to go. I want to shout out Al Rose. Anybody know that name? Al Rose. He's a historian, and I inherited part of his library because I married a woman whose family knew him. And so I inherited a lot of his jazz books. And so some of the same books that he used to write this book, I now look at to tell you some of that. Just to show you, Al Rose is no slouch. There he is with Louis Armstrong, Father Earl Hines, Barney Bogard, and that's Arvell Shaw, the bassist. They used the back end of his book to make this movie, Pretty Baby. Does anybody remember this? From 1977? 78. Brooke Shields' first movie. She's 12. Here's one of those times where people's eyes bug out. She plays what's called a trick baby. And that is the offspring of a prostitute, either growing up in a brothel or not. This is the song, Pretty Baby. I wanted to tell you real quick, if you're not from New Orleans, anybody not from New Orleans here? We don't use cardinal directions. meaning north, east, south, and west, because of the river. Because like if you were to use north, east, south, and west, at some points the river would be to the east of you, and sometimes it's to the south of you. So it's very confusing. So we use these directions: lake, river, downtown, and uptown. And I tell you that because I want to show you this map. And you'll see how Storyville is located in square number 63 up there. You see it? This is an insurance map. And I bet the rates were increased in that area. And you see, you're at the Jazz Museum there. This was taken in 1914. It's a picture from the air of Storyville. Anybody want to guess how that was taken? Drone is the wrong answer, so don't say that. Hot air balloon. Someone went up in a hot air balloon. And those are the streets that from the French Quarter that extend into Storyville. Iberville used to be called Custom House. Here's where I do a little by the numbers. It was 38 square blocks is what they say, 1.4 square miles. I'll show you how that's sort of incorrect. You see that area in the back, that's a graveyard. That little area doesn't count. In Storyville, on the average night, or at its height, there were 2,200 sex workers. There were 398 houses of prostitution. There were 36 dance halls, 2 churches, 1 cemetery, and for whatever reason, 3 shooting ranges. I don't know when the last time you had something to drink and shot a gun. It's really fun. Now they do that and it's axe throwing. You drink beer and you throw axes. So even the easy information about Storyville is, for whatever reason, like mired and in controversy. Anyway, it's not right everywhere. Is anybody an accountant or know an accountant? Well, there's a process in accounting called testing for existence. And if you're a farmer and you say, I have 5 silos of grain, and I'm an accountant, I write that down. You have 5 silos of grain. But eventually, I go, as the accountant, I test that for existence. I go out to the grain, I make sure there are 5 silos, I make sure they're full, I make sure the grain is good, I make sure there's no bugs in the grain, and that's called testing for existence. Well, the other day I tested for existence. I used the boundaries that they said, and I ran, and that's a pretty good time, just so you guys know. I'm a 48-year-old man. So even the easy stuff is hard to get right in Storyville. This is the oldest picture of Storyville. It's called Down the Line. I want to draw your attention to that corner. That's Tom Anderson's annex. Here's a closer look. Tom Anderson's sort of an impresario. He's sort of an Elon Musk figure. He has his hands in every little thing. He grows up on both sides of the law. As a child, he runs drugs for the prostitutes. He picks up their drugs. Drugs are legal. It's fine. And then also he acts as a stool pigeon for the police, a rat. So he lives on both sides of the law, and he starts that very young, and he continues his whole life like that. Now, when you Google Tom Anderson now, what you're met with is that guy who started MySpace. That's not the right Tom Anderson. I'm talking about this guy. That mustache was just so popular at the time. This guy acted as a liaison between all the operators in Storyville and the city officials. I listed his accomplishments here. He was involved in our lottery system. That's where he met people and began to get a little power. He must have known also about Storyville before it was going to form, because he bought a restaurant down there before it started. And then later changed it, and then changed it again. And then in, 1901, he opened Tom Anderson's Annex. It had a bar that was a half block long. It had 100 electric light bulbs and the first electric sign in New Orleans. This is his motto: the best of everything. That's the bandstand there at Tom Anderson's Annex. And then if you look to the left, the drummer, that's Paul Barberin. And even if you think you don't know anything about Storyville or New Orleans or anything, Paul Barberin wrote the Bourbon Street Parade, which is a song we hear in New Orleans here every single day. And there he is, playing on the bandstand at Tom Anderson's Annex. The other picture was called Down the Line, and this is a picture called Up the Line. This is actually a postcard based on that picture. If you can imagine, you were having such a good time in Storyville. You said, I gotta send a picture. I gotta send a postcard to my family. I wish you were here. We are having a fantastic time here in Storyville. It's based on this picture, which I used the little AI and I upscaled it, made it nice. Then I put the names of the brothels there. Now, if it has a little star by it, guess who put the money in? Come on. Tom Anderson. Did you say Tom Anderson? Well, you know what? You're the first winner of the day. Come on, come get your button. Come get your Tom Anderson Best of Everything button that my mom and I made 50 of the other day. Come on, come right up here. Thank you. All right, I'll go back to this picture because I know a little something about each one of these little brothels. This is your sort of prostitution primer, what we're doing right now. Diane and Norma's, well, the first house. Actually, let's talk about that first house. It's called Hilma Burt's in this picture, but it was also run by a lady named Gertrude Dix and Flo Meeker. And that might be the first place Jelly Roll Morton played. And in fact, do you see this picture? Look, it's hard to see, so I used AI, and I made it a little nicer. Do you see the guy at the piano? That might be the back of Jelly Roll Morton's head. But no one can confirm that. Diane and Norma's, here's another part of the tour where I see people's eyes pop out of their head. That was a French house, Diane and Norma's. They offered alternative services there in Diane and Norma's, and they didn't need a lot of beds, if you know what I mean. Now, we'll move to the next place, which is called The Little Annex, and it was the most expensive brothel on Basin Street. And P.T. Barnum actually designed one of his train cars to look like the Little Annex. He furnished it exactly like that. And then Minnie White's is the next one, and it had the largest bill of intoxicating beverages in the district. It was famous for striptease acts and had a little dormitory for drunks to sleep it off. They were also famous for having some sort of hangover cure that was said to be based around champagne and cayenne pepper. And then the next place, Jesse Brown's, is one of my favorite places because it has the most information of the brothels that don't have a lot of information. This one was separated into, some people say, 65 little rooms, and that it catered to working men, trained people most of the time, and they had a $1 special that included breakfast, which was, listen to this, included a hot breakfast, sausage, red beans with French bread, and chicory coffee from 6 to 9 a.m., except Mondays. The next place is Josie Arlington's. And Josie Arlington was a lady who had been in the brothel business for a while, and her brother was killed. And she took a little time off after that, and she went to Hot Springs, Arkansas, where she stayed at a very nice resort called the Arlington. And so when she came back and she wanted to sort of reform her life and get it together, she renamed herself Josie Arlington to sort of she was going to bring that idea of class to the brothel world. And the next place, Martha Clark's, I don't know very much about. But the last place there is Mahogany Hall, the home of Lulu White. This place employed almost 40 prostitutes a night. It had steam heat and hot and cold running water in the bathrooms. There's Miss Lulu White, and if she doesn't look very happy in that picture, it's because that's a mugshot. The story, her brothel on Basin Street cost $40,000 when it was built in 1900, and that's the equivalent of $1.5 billion today. And I know that because I'm also an amateur economist. Speaking of economics, folks, there's something for everybody in Storyville, and for every beautiful mansion on Basin Street, there's these. These are called cribs. These are 6x8 rooms that the girls work in. They do most of their advertising on the porch, with word or deed or attire or lack of attire, and they draw the fellas in. And if you were working a good crib near Basin Street, you could make $1 per trick. And then as you got closer to that graveyard I was showing you, it went down about a quarter a block. And in the very back of Storyville, you were maybe only paying a quarter. That's another part where people's eyes bug out. This is Tony Jackson. He's a piano professor. Anybody heard that term before? The number one music in Storyville is what the clients want to hear. So they might request French opera, they might request classical music, folk tunes, gospel. Imagine hearing a gospel tune in the brothel. Or Tin Pan Alley songs. And so guys like this were sort of synthesizing all of this music down into like a style that we would kind of call jazz eventually. They are the guys on the front lines. Oh, I want to tell you about this guy. This is the guy who wrote Pretty Baby. He is a black, open homosexual. He is an alcoholic. He has epilepsy. He has a 4-octave singing voice. He has a photographic memory. He has perfect pitch. And they say he died of the hiccups. Which sounds awful, don't you agree? Like for 4 months he had the hiccups and then he died. That's one of those things that's maybe not the truth, but I love it too much to not tell you. He's quoted as saying, when you say, what songs do you play, Tony? He's quoted as saying, what's the man gonna do? Comes in here, slaps a 20 on the box and says Poets and Peasants Overture, and I can't play it? Hell, I learn all them things, mister. All of them. And I brought him to life so he could say that to you. And I will now slap a 20 on the box and see if Kris knows Poets and Peasants Overture. Kris Tokarski, everybody. Tony Jackson is a influence on all the young professors in Storyville. Here is a young upstart named Jelly Roll Morton, as well as this fella, Spencer Williams. Spencer Williams has a great story. He claims to be the godson of Lulu White, and that when his mother died in Selma, Alabama, the family moved him to New Orleans, and he grew up in the brothel. And then in the jazz age, he went on to write all of these songs. Has anybody ever heard the Basin Street Blues? How about I Ain't Got Nobody? He wrote the Royal Garden Blues. He wrote a song and he named it after the place he grew up, which was Mahogany Hall Stomp. He wrote the 2 songs about babies, which are I Found a New Baby and Everybody Loves My Baby, which is sort of a prostitute song, don't you believe? Okay. And then also the Tishomingo Blues. And his thinly veiled double entendre song, Ain't Gonna Give Nobody None of My Jelly Roll. Ladies and gentlemen, 8 songs in 1 minute. That's our piano professor, Kris Tokarski. If you're having trouble with his last name, I made a slide. It's Tokarski. Thank you. Well, you know what? When you laugh at something like that, and then I put together all this other stuff, it's like, why am I even reading or doing any work at all? All right, I'll talk about the Buddy Bolden Band, the biggest band in Storyville, the most influential band. Buddy Bolden is a guy who starts playing the trumpet as a teenager, and he starts hanging around. Well, look at that picture. What a handsome guy, right? Born in 1877, Bolden began playing the cornet as a teenager. He joined a small New Orleans dance band led by guitarist Charlie Galloway. Charlie Galloway owned a barbershop and was a barber, and that's why a lot of people say that Buddy Bolden was a barber, but he wasn't. He just hung out in a barbershop. If Russell would be a bartender, if that was the case. Do you see what I mean? He was a sort of a pioneer of fusing the rough uptown blues sound with ragtime and marching band music. This is his house he grew up in on 2309 First Street. It's still there. It's owned by the church across the street and the musician P.J. Morton, if you know him. They are currently in a battle about the state of the house. Some people think it should be in better condition than it is. This is the Union Sons Hall at Liberty and Perdido Street, and it served as the first Lincoln Baptist Church. But at night, ladies and gentlemen, it was known as the Funky Butt Hall. Jelly Roll Morton does a wonderful version of this and recounts this. This is the Buddy Bolden theme song, and he recounts this to Alan Lomax. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to one of the Storyville season's stable of stars, Mr. Alex McMurray. Welcome him now. I'm going to play you the Buddy Bolden's Blues. One, two,
Terrible. Take him away, you funky butt. Take him away. I thought I heard him say. I thought I heard Buddy Bolden shout. Open up the window, let that bad air out. Open up that window, let that foul air out. I thought I heard him shout. And I thought I heard Judge Fogarty say, give him 30 days in the market, yeah, take him away. Give him a good broom to sweep with, take him away. I thought I heard him say, and I thought I heard Frankie Doosan shout, give me that money, I'm gonna beat it out. Oh, give me that money like I told you. I'm gonna beat it on out. I thought I heard him shout.
Alex McMurray, ladies and gentlemen. And just like that, he's gone. Talk about Clarence Williams for a little while. Clarence Williams, in the jazz age, was a publisher and a piano player and a songwriter and is responsible for so many songs, whether he actually wrote them or he helped. And he kind of has sullied his reputation by helping with so many tunes, if you know what I mean. But he did write a lot of great songs. He grew up in Plaquemine, Louisiana. Anybody? I don't think you're missing much. Oh. Well, he was more famous as a nightclub promoter during the Storyville era. And he developed a bit, an athletic bit, on the Rampart Street bars and saloons, even at the Pete Lalas or the Big 25. It was called the ham kick. And you would suspend a ham from the ceiling, and any woman who could come and kick the ham, guess what? You get to take the ham home. But you must also show that you were not wearing underwear during the kicking of the ham. So I made that clip with AI, and that clip would have cost me $20,000 to make without AI. Here is how Clarence Williams got his start in Storyville. He was sort of an amateur. He ran away from home at 12 to join a minstrel show. And then he got to New Orleans when he was like 14 years old, and he used to shine shoes and do little odd jobs. And this is a quote, it's out of his book called Hear Me Talking to You. It says, "But one day the porter that worked at the spaghetti place came over to my house and said, 'Do you know where I can find a good piano player?' 'You're talking to him,' I said. And that's how I started, you know. I couldn't play but 5 or 6 pieces. And when someone would ask me to play a waltz, I'd just play Some of These Days or one of the other tunes I knew in 3/4 time." And so that gave me a great idea that we would play Some of These Days in 3/4 time for you. So I will introduce another Storyville season stable of stars. Ladies and gentlemen, here's my good friend, Becky, Lynn, Blanca. Everybody put your hands together. I said, Becky, Lynn, Blanca. There she is, there she is.
Thank you.
She came wearing traditional garb,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
'Tis the season.
It's a big hit for Sophie Tucker, written by Sheldon Brooks.
Some of these days, you're gonna miss me, honey. Now some of these days, you'll be so lonely. You're gonna miss my hugging, you'll miss my kissing. You'll be sorry when I'm far away. You'll be so lonely, all by your only. But you know, honey, that you had your way. And when you leave me, you know you're gonna grieve me. You'll miss your sweet little mama some of these days.
Yeah, she's great. That's why I keep her around. Becky Lynn Blanca, everybody.
Thank you, friend.
Big music in Storyville, big influence on the music that makes jazz is blues. And in 1914, W.C. Handy, who's, I believe that stands for water closet. Water closet Handy. He has the biggest blues, the first big blues hit. And then the tango is a big dance at the time. And so he attaches he actually claimed, he says he had heard the tune that is the St. Louis Blues as early as like the 1890s. But I guess it kicked around in his head for a bunch of years. And then he added this little tango verse to it, which was like very in vogue at the time. And those two things really launched this song into the pop stratosphere. In fact, this is like one of the most recorded jazz songs still. And it's called the St. Louis Blues. And we're going to do it in the key of A. And we're going to feature Becky. don't know if you noticed, but adding to our great rural blues sound is Mike Voelker on his Washboard, ladies and gentlemen. That little rhythm was called the habanera, and then Jelly Roll Morton called it the Spanish tinge.
Okay.
That's that Latin influence that grows into our jazz music. Here's a song that doesn't get recorded until much later, and it's an adaptation of it. This song is actually from like the 1850s, and was such a popular melody at the time. This song is called Root, Hog, or Die, which is a term about self-reliance. You can root, you can hog, or you can die. They used to let the pigs search for their own food, and that would be called rooting. And if the pig couldn't find some food in the forest, guess what? Pig died. Correct, madam. Guess what? Come get your Storyville button. Come get your Tom C. Anderson. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, actually, this was such a popular tune at the time that both the Union and Confederate Army both had like a war song that they would sing to this tune. That's how popular the song was. And in fact, I think Abraham Lincoln even uses that term in one of his speeches, root, hog, or die. And so now that I have my great little singing partner here, we're going to do this song that I learned from the Harlem Ham Fats, but it's called Root, Hog, or Die. Yeah. Also, definitely going to feature Mike Voelker on the Washboard.
Yeah.
Listen, honey,
Yeah.
you got to get some money.
All right.
I don't think it's funny. You got to root, hog, or die. And if you don't, I'm leaving. Surely you'll be grieving. Ain't no make-believing. You got to root, hog, or die. I just pawned my new gold watch, this chain, my diamond ring. Now you've got to stop, shaking that thing. A pretty mama said, oh, I've been mellow. Been a real fine fellow, ain't no storyteller. You got to root, hog, or die. Hey, listen, honey.
Yeah.
You got to get some money.
All right.
I don't think it's funny. You got to root hard to die. And if you don't, I'm leaving. Surely you'll be grieving. Ain't no make-believing. You got to root hard to die. I just pawned this new gold watch, your chain, my diamond ring. Now you've gotta stop, shaking that thing. A pretty mama said, oh, I've been mellow, been a real fine fellow, ain't no storyteller. You got to root hard to die. All right, Mike Voelker on the washboard. All right, a couple more for you here. Oh yeah, you're wooing? That's not from exhaustion? Okay, good.
Okay, great.
Here's a song we're going to kind of go back a little bit. This is a song from 1902. It's by Huey Cannon. Huey Cannon was a pianist in a bar that was associated with the railroad in Michigan. And one of the players in the band was a guy named Willard Bill Bailey, who treated his wife not so great. And because of that, our man Huey Cannon was like, I gotta write a song about this guy, and he did. And it's called "Won't You Come Home, Bill Bailey." Now, most of you, if you do know this song, you don't hear the verse very often, where you find out why Bill was thrown out of the house. It's just assumed that Bill was done wrong. That's what you assume when you don't hear the verse, and that's how most of the songs are recorded. But we went back and found the verse. Guess what? Bill was a real scoundrel, and might have deserved it. Not might, did deserve it. And so here we go with a song from 1902. This is called "Bill Bailey, Won't You Please Come Home." With the long lost verse. F minor, right?
To start, yeah.
Oh, we're gonna play an A flat.
On one summer's day, sun was shining fine. The lady love of old Bill Bailey was hanging clothes on the line in her backyard and weeping hard. She married a B&O brakeman who took and threw her down. She was hollering like a prune-fed calf with a big gang hanging round. And to that crowd, she hollered loud, "Won't you come home, Bill Bailey? Won't you come home?" She cried the whole night long. She said, "I'll do the dishes, darling, I'll pay the rent, although I done you wrong. Remember that rainy evening I threw you out with nothing but a fine tooth comb. I know I'm to blame, ain't that a shame? Well, Bailey, won't you please come home?" tell you what happened next. It does not get better. Bill rode by that door. He was in an automobile. He had a great big diamond, a coach and a footman. I heard Big Mama squeal. He's all alone. I heard her moan. She hollered through that door. She said, Bill Bailey, is you sore? Stop a minute, won't you listen to me? Won't I see you no more? Bill winked his eye as he heard her cry. Won't you come home, Bill Bailey? Won't you come home? She cried me all night long. She said, I'll do the dishes and the laundry and the cooking. I'll pay the rent, I'll give you money, Daddy, although I done you wrong. He threw her down in the beginning of the song. Remember that red evening? I got some sense, I think you out. Nothing but defense. No, I know I'm to blame. Ain't that a shame? Well, baby, won't you please come Thank you, friends.
We're running out of time, so I want to tell you just about one more tune. Hey, thanks for coming, everybody. Isn't it? An hour is not long enough. I think we should all adjourn, take a break, and come back and have another class.
You'd like that.
Okay, you think
wouldn't
that? You're with it. You know what, lady? Guess what?
Oh.
Come up. You get a Tom Anderson button. That's right. Spoiler alert. Everybody will receive a Tom Anderson button. Thank you. My mom and I made 50. In fact, when I say my mom and I mean mostly my mom made 50 Tom Anderson buttons. 70 Tom Anderson. What's 20 buttons? All right, so I just want to take the last little bit of time to talk about this song. I wish I could shimmy like my sister Kate. Has anybody ever heard this song? Okay. Now we're talking about the two eras. We talk about the Storyville era and then the jazz era. And the big difference in those two times, I mean, there's lots of differences, but one of the big differences as far as the music goes is that there's no recordings. And so things don't have to be clean. So often, the music existed before the recording, but it was dirty. It was a neighborhood song. It wasn't a full song, what they considered songs. So a lot of the music in the jazz era is music taken from the Storyville era, cleaned up, and re-put out as songs like I Wish I Could Shimmy Like My Sister Kate, which sounds totally sweet, right? Oh, my sister, she's such a good dancer.
Yeah.
And I wish I could just be like her. Well, this song starts off as a song called Why Don't You Get Off Katie's Head? And Louis Armstrong claims to have written it, which might not be true. And it's about this lady who's a brothel madam. Her name is Kate Townsend. And one of the reasons I don't think it's very possible that he actually wrote the song is because Kate Townsend was killed in 1883 or something. And Louis Armstrong wasn't really born until the 1900s, and he didn't really start playing the trumpet professionally and writing songs until he was 20. So we're talking about an event that happened like almost 40 years before he starts playing. So it's just probably not very likely. So he says he wrote this song, and that, this is a comic of the tragedy, if you can imagine. There was a paper we had called The Mascot. You know what? I used AI to make it a little better so you could read it a little bit better. And this is about Kate and her lover, Troysville Sykes. There, what a name, right? Troysville. And he kills her with a Bowie knife. Tragic. Earlier we were talking about Clarence Williams. That's him seated on the ground. He's the piano player here. And then above him with the fiddle is a guy named A.J. Piron. And they had a publishing company. Well, the legend goes that one night in the bar, one of these men came up to Louis Armstrong and said, I love that song, the one about getting off Katie's head. I love it. I'd like to purchase it. And so one story says for $10, and then one story says for $50, and then one story says for an overcoat. Louis Armstrong was not given $10, $50, or an overcoat. And the song is credited to A.J. Piron, who actually says, this is a great quote, Piron himself, when asked about Armstrong's claims, suggested the tune was older than all of us. It was a folk melody that various people, including Armstrong, had simply put new words to. So it starts out as a very dirty song about a dead hooker. And they say, well, I love that melody. Why don't we change it to, you're jealous that your sister dances so good? And then we'll write a little verse, and a verse gives context to the tune. And so by 1922, 23, it's now the popular tune that was, Why Don't You Get Off Katie's Head, is now called, I Wish I Could Shimmy Like My Sister Kate. And so thank you very much for being such a good audience. We will play one more song. We'll feature Becky, Lynn, Blanca on the vocals, everybody. Russell Lee Welch on the guitar. Kris Tokarski on the piano. David Boswell has been your great trumpet player. The fantastic trombone playing of Mr. Charlie Halloran. And the guy in the back, we couldn't do it without him. It's Mr. Mike Voelker. My name is Jason Jurzak. We are the Sweetie Pies of New Orleans. We will play Sister Kate. We will be out of your hair. Come up and get a Storyville button, and then maybe hang out later. They're going to have an opening for the Storyville exhibit downstairs. That's why we're here today. Great being with you. Here's Sister Kate.
Went to a dance with my sister Kate. Everyone there, such a dance so great. I realized a thing or two, then got wise to something new. I looked at Kate, she was in a trance. Then I could see it was in a dance. Now all the boys are going wild over Katie's dancing style. I wish I could shimmy like my sister Kate. She shake like jelly on a plate. My mother wanted to know last night, hey, why all the boys treating Katie so nice? All the boys in the neighborhood, well, they know she can shimmy and it's understood. I may be late, but I'll be up to date when I shimmy like my sister Kate. I mean shaking, shimmy like my sister Kate. Like my sister Kate, ooh-wee, she shake like jelly on her plate. My mama wanted to know last night. She said, hey, why all them boys treating Katie so nice? Well, every man in the neighborhood knows she can shimmy and it's understood. I may be late, but I'll be up to date when I shimmy like my sister Kate. I boogie, yeah, I shimmy like my sister Kate.
Thank you very much, everybody. We're the Sweetie Pies of New Orleans. Russell, let them have it.
Thank you, friends.
All right, hey. Kris, awesome, dude, buddy. All right, come get your Storyville button. I want to give it to you.